There are specific moments in life when a person enters and suddenly the idea of coincidence stops making sense forever. You can try to look back across the timeline and explain how everything unfolded, but your inner feeling already knows that logic was never fully in control here. This person did not just walk into your world. They arrived with a purpose that felt inevitable from the very beginning of your meeting. When they came into your life, something shifted deep inside you in a way that was quiet but lasting, something that marked both your emotions and your future direction. Even now, as you try to move on and tell yourself it is finished, there is still a pull you cannot ignore. As you attempt to think your way through the pain, something keeps drawing your attention back to them again and again. This is not desperation. It is the weight of something familiar, something rooted in your own deeper emotional history. If this message has reached you today, it is not by accident, because meaningful experiences tend to arrive exactly when a person is ready to understand them. Carl Jung once said that whoever looks outside dreams, while whoever looks inside awakens to reality. Right now, something within you is slowly beginning to wake up and see things as they really are. It is a kind of knowing that does not stay quiet, even when your logical mind tries to move forward and dismiss it. This feeling keeps insisting that this connection was never meant to be easily erased or treated like an ordinary memory. You may have reached a point where you feel divided between different directions within yourself. You feel caught between holding on to what once was and letting go of what you expected it to become. You are stuck between trusting your emotions and doubting yourself because of external reality. Silence often feeds doubt, and distance can make even a strong heart question what it already knows deep down. You may have wondered if you imagined the entire thing, or if you were simply hoping for something that was never truly real. You might think you misunderstood signs or read too deeply into something that did not exist. But imagination usually fades over time. Illusions collapse when they are tested by distance and months. Yet this connection has remained present, despite time and separation. Your soul refuses to release this person, and that refusal is not random. There is a deeper reason you are slowly starting to understand. This person matters, not in the way ego wants, but in the way the soul recognizes something familiar and meaningful. This is not obsession, because obsession is loud, restless, and demanding. What you feel is quieter, deeper, and more steady. It lives beneath your surface thoughts and waits patiently until moments of stillness bring it back into awareness. It rises unexpectedly, sometimes in emotional waves that appear without warning. Connections that transform us are never shallow. They reorganize something inside that was once stable and unchanging. They open inner doors that cannot fully close again, even with distance between two people. Even in silence, there is often a deeper sense that something still exists. Silence does not always mean absence of feeling. Sometimes it means the feeling is too strong to be easily expressed or understood. Their distance is not necessarily a lack of care. It can be a reflection of fear, vulnerability, or emotional unreadiness. They may fear losing control or being seen too deeply before they are ready. This is where many strong connections become complicated, because one person becomes emotionally aware faster than the other can handle. One soul begins to awaken, while the other is still catching up. At times, the other person pulls back because you became a mirror for them. You reflected parts of themselves they were not ready to face. Until something becomes conscious, it often controls a person silently, and they call it fate while feeling lost inside it. Right now, they may still be guided by what they have not resolved within themselves. But once a person becomes aware, that awareness does not disappear. You entered their life to show them emotional honesty and what real presence feels like between two people. You touched something inside them that had been quiet for a long time, and that kind of impact does not simply vanish. The universe does not waste meaningful encounters. If this connection was truly over, it would have ended cleanly, without lingering thoughts, emotions, or repeated inner reminders. Instead, it appears in small signs that catch your attention and in dreams that feel unusually real. These are not distractions. They are reminders that something is still unfolding beyond what you can currently see. There is a difference between forcing an outcome and trusting timing. Your hope is not weakness, it is intuition, and intuition does not need noise to be valid. Right now, something is shifting beneath the surface. Resistance is slowly softening as time moves forward. The heart that once shut down is beginning to open again under the pressure of its own truth. Whether they express it or not, the fear of losing you is beginning to feel heavier than the fear of trying again. Patience becomes powerful when it is steady and grounded. Trusting timing does not mean losing self-respect. As this message settles within you, notice what feels natural and what does not. Truth does not need to force itself. If your heart feels calmer rather than more anxious, that is often a sign of alignment. The connection is not broken. It is changing form as both of you are being shaped through this experience. What you are going through is not just waiting. It is becoming. You are becoming someone more aware, more emotionally clear, and more aligned with yourself. Since this connection entered your life, you are not the same person you once were. Your emotional awareness has deepened, and your standards have become clearer. You can no longer accept shallow connection or half-present love in your life. Sometimes, a connection arrives not to stay immediately, but to awaken you to new levels of understanding. Once that awakening happens, it is not easy to return to who you were before. Letting go feels difficult because you are holding on to a deeper truth about yourself that was revealed through this connection. You learned how deeply you can feel and how fully you are capable of loving when you are emotionally open. Soul connections rarely move in straight lines. They move in cycles, returning to the same themes at deeper levels each time. They require honesty, courage, and willingness to face what is real within yourself. What makes this experience complex is not lack of feeling, but difference in timing and emotional readiness. You may be ready to open fully, while the other person is still dealing with internal resistance and unresolved fears. Unfinished emotional connections do not simply disappear. They often surface when life becomes quiet and distractions fade. In still moments, the connection becomes more noticeable again. Late at night or early in the morning, you may become the quiet standard they compare everything else against. This is why signs may feel stronger recently. Not to keep you stuck, but to keep you aware and steady. When doubt appears, something within you responds and reminds you that your feelings are not imagined. There is a transformation happening inside you as you learn the difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment tells you that you need someone to be complete. Alignment reminds you that you are already whole on your own. When you stop chasing clarity and start living your truth, everything begins to shift. The emotional pressure starts to ease, and the connection becomes less about anxiety and more about grounded awareness. They can feel this change in you, even without words. They sense that you are no longer waiting in the same way, and that changes the dynamic between you. At this stage, the connection must be chosen consciously. Fear begins to lose its control over both sides. The reality of loss becomes clearer, and the heart starts speaking more honestly than old defense patterns. You chose growth and integrity, and now they are being guided toward a similar inner decision. The direction between you may feel like it is shifting. You might sense closeness even without communication, like a quiet emotional awareness passing between you. Clarity is coming, and it will not ask you to reduce yourself or return to who you were before. Love is meant to be lived, not only felt internally. That is why things have slowed down to this pace. If they return, it will come with sincerity and accountability, meeting you in the place you now stand. And if they do not, you will still remain steady, because you have already returned to your own truth. You now understand the difference between simple chemistry and real soul compatibility, and also the difference between emotional longing and genuine alignment. Whatever comes next in your life will meet you exactly where you are now, at a level where you are grounded in your own self-worth, stability, and inner peace. Something is slowly moving toward alignment, but not in a forced or rushed way. It is unfolding in its own natural timing, in a way that feels real in its essence and in how it arrives into your life. There comes a moment where deep longing naturally softens into quiet understanding, because your relationship with this connection has already shifted in a permanent way. It no longer sits in the same emotional place it once did. You stop asking why this is happening to you, and slowly begin to feel that maybe it is happening for you instead. That inner shift is very significant because it marks the moment where emotional pain begins transforming into wisdom, awareness, and inner strength that stays with you. This connection was never just random. It was meant to reveal parts of you, to bring things to the surface, and to remove illusions that were not meant to stay in your life before this person or energy came in. It has shown you the difference between intensity and true emotional intimacy, and also the difference between holding on out of fear versus holding on from genuine love. As this understanding settles deeper into you, the emotional suffering begins to lose its grip on your thoughts and daily emotional state. Your thoughts about this person are also changing. They are becoming quieter, calmer, and more steady, arriving with a sense of acceptance rather than confusion or panic about what is happening right now. When one person grows inside a deep emotional bond, the entire dynamic between both people begins to adjust to that new level of inner energy. Energy always seeks balance, and when you stop chasing answers or trying to force clarity, something begins to shift naturally in the background of this connection. They are feeling this change too, because your energy is reaching them not as pressure or neediness, but as calm presence and quiet emotional strength instead of seeking validation. This kind of shift unsettles them in a deeper way than pursuit ever could. Silence begins to carry a completely different meaning for them now. It is no longer something that feels like rejection, but something that pushes them inward toward reflection, inner work, and confrontation with themselves. They are being guided toward facing the patterns they once used to protect themselves, such as emotional walls, control, and avoidance. These patterns once gave them a sense of safety, but now they are becoming barriers that keep them separated from the love and connection they actually desire deep down. Moving forward would require vulnerability and emotional honesty, while staying the same would mean letting go of something that feels rare and meaningful to them. The outcome of this situation is not decided by how much you hope or wait, but by how deeply you remain aligned with your own self-respect and inner truth throughout this process. The more you stay honest with yourself and grounded in who you are becoming, the clearer the path becomes for everyone involved in this connection. Whether this ultimately leads to reunion or peaceful release, it will no longer break you the way it once could, because you have grown stronger through it. Your soul understands that this connection still carries unfinished emotional meaning, something that requires honesty in order to be fully understood and resolved. Words that were never spoken and feelings that were never expressed do not disappear. They remain present, waiting for the right moment and courage to be brought into expression. Where fear exists, your responsibility or lesson also exists. And right now, fear is something both of you are facing in different ways. Your role has been to trust your inner knowing, while their role is to open their heart and move beyond emotional defenses that were built long ago. Both of these inner journeys are now moving forward at the same time. You may notice that the idea of reunion no longer feels desperate or frantic like before. Instead, you begin to prefer depth over fantasy, and you are no longer willing to accept confusion disguised as fate or destiny. What you truly want now is clarity, truth, and real emotional presence. That inner standard you now hold is also influencing the other person and calling them toward growth and emotional honesty. True soul connections are not meant to trap you in suffering, but to guide you back toward your own truth and emotional alignment. You are stepping into that alignment now, and communication or clarity may begin to open in unexpected ways very soon. Do not rush these moments or try to force outcomes, because real reconnection cannot be pressured or controlled. It must unfold naturally in its own timing. If fear rises within you, allow it to exist without letting it guide your actions, because it is only an old emotional memory, not your present reality. You are not the same person you once were, and you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone in this situation or in life in general. Your worth is already visible through your growth, your awareness, and the way you have evolved emotionally. Life responds to what you embody internally. Pay attention to how your body feels in different moments. When there is less tension and more openness, it shows you are aligning more with truth and inner peace. What comes next is about allowing life to reveal what is real and allowing love to find its natural place without force. This connection is either rising into truth or dissolving into understanding, but it is not yet fully complete in its process. There is still movement taking place, and courage is forming for an important conversation that will happen at the right time. Stay present and grounded, because the next phase of this journey will require your clarity, strength, and discernment. A quiet inner strength begins to develop when you no longer depend on external reassurance to trust your own feelings. You stop constantly searching for signs because something within you has already settled into deeper trust in the process of life. This connection acts like a mirror, showing you exactly where you stand emotionally and who you are becoming as a person. You no longer feel the need to justify your emotions or prove your inner truth to others. Real love does not rely on confusion as evidence, and your inner stability changes the entire emotional landscape around you. When you stop overextending yourself just to keep something alive, the connection is forced to respond honestly to the new energy you are carrying. Either it rises to meet you at this level, or it reveals its limitations clearly. Both outcomes carry truth. They are also feeling this shift because the emotional space you once filled with effort, explanation, and anxiety is no longer there in the same way. Your presence has become calm, clear, and undistorted. It no longer carries the emotional weight it once did. This new presence can feel confronting for them because it brings unresolved emotions to the surface where they can no longer be ignored or pushed aside. They begin to feel the reality of what could be lost, and a sense of responsibility starts to awaken within them regarding their choices. You chose growth, clarity, and emotional integrity, and now they are standing at a similar crossroads where they must make their own life-changing decisions. The direction between you is shifting, and you may even feel moments of unexpected closeness, like quiet emotional warmth without words. This is resonance. Distance may delay physical or verbal expression, but it does not destroy the underlying connection itself. Clarity is on its way, and when it arrives, it will not require you to shrink yourself or return to a smaller version of who you have become. Love is meant to be lived, not just felt internally, which is why everything has slowed down into a more steady and reflective pace. Anything built before this level of awareness would not have been able to last. But what is forming now has the potential to be more stable and grounded. If this person returns, it will likely come with more intention, awareness, and accountability, meeting you in the honest space you now occupy in your life. If they do not, you will still remain whole, because you have already returned to yourself and your own inner foundation.